Baltimore. It's a little village down in southern Wood County, about 2.5 miles square. About 3,500 people call North Baltimore home.
So it's a bustling metropolis is what you're saying. Yeah. Now, back in the June of 1990, the village of North Baltimore was at the center of a shocking seismic event which gently rocked some residents in North Baltimore and several other nearby communities, and one young man who was only just trying to shave.
Everything looks normal because everything is normal. The streets aren't cracked, buildings are standing. North Baltimore, though, was the epicenter of an earthquake this morning at 7:30, registering 2.2 on the Richter scale.
Just a rumble, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't real bad.
Just thought maybe one of them damn trains going through it, is what I thought.
The quake showed up as just a blip on a University of Toledo seismograph. It spread out over a 10-mile radius from North Baltimore, rocking Findlay, Bowling Green, Fostoria, and Signet.
We don't understand why sometimes there are small earthquakes, why sometimes there are larger earthquakes. We still don't understand the details of the physics of earthquakes. We can't take earthquakes into a lab and schedule them.
For some of the people we talk to, it's hard to have a nice day when your life is unexpectedly thrown into limbo by a natural phenomenon, like this 13-year-old.
Well, I was in the bathroom shaving, and I cut myself.
You don't look like you're old enough to shave,
Hey,
buddy.
I shaved. Look.
I'm watching TV.
Were you watching Channel 11?
No.
How come?
HBO.
What was on HBO?
I can't remember.
So if you ask people here what's shaking, you're bound to get a different answer, at least for today. North Baltimore is a town with bad vibes, as in vibrations. Dick Berry, Toledo 11 News.
Dick Berry was always so clever, so creative with
I love
his
all
writing.
the puns. That was really, really great to see all the reactions and stuff. The guy shaving, I have some question marks about that.
Guy, a 13-year-old.
13-year-old.
Yeah, you're right there.
13 going on 30.
So how rare are any kind of tremors like that in our area?
You know, seeing shallow earthquakes are more common than you may think. Usually, though, they're not necessarily in Wood County. We get a fair amount closer to the lakeshore, but it turns out this was actually a magnitude 2.5. I got the information in the epicenter right there behind us. So it was centered over North Baltimore, but folks in Bowling Green could feel it, even down towards Findlay into parts of northern Hancock County. Rattled around a few things, but generally a 2.5, not going to do much of anything in terms of damage, but it's still certainly something you don't expect.
I don't know if it was this one in 1990, but I remember a Mud Hens game was going on at Old Skeldon Stadium, and the people in the press box could feel the press box swaying.
Yep.
That's got to be an eerie feeling when your feet aren't on the ground.
Yeah, certainly not a good feeling, especially if you don't know what exactly it is. And back then, a lot of those residents, you know, you don't really forecast them in advance and say, hey, there's going to be an earthquake today. It just kind of happens. And then in retrospect, we go back and we say, hey, here's what the data shows us about the strength or the magnitude of it.
So we're at the point now, technically, that we're able to see why it happened, but we can't really predict them happening?
Yeah, hard to predict them happening in the future. And we do have some good data on that one. So it was about 3.1 miles below the Earth's surface. So fairly shallow in the grand scheme of things, but pretty typical for a Northwest Ohio quake.
I just want to know, as we continue in life, are they going to eventually get stronger? Will we be the California of the Midwest?
Oh, certainly hope not. We, the fault lines we have here are much more shallow. They're very different than the ones in California. So our earthquakes are very unlikely to be over a magnitude 3. You know, even if we got a 4 or 5, that would be like a once in a generation type system. So, you know, most of them pretty weak little earthquakes, may rattle around the house a little bit, may interfere with your shaving, but that's about it.
John, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, many of you have told us just how much you love watching our old stories from Channel 11 Archive. So if you'd like to see more, you're going to love what you find on WTO11's Vault, special playlist on WTO11's YouTube channel, where we have all kinds of great old stories for you to watch.
New in the Vault this week, Dick Berry met Russell Coffey on Veterans Day back in 2007. Remember, Russell Coffey was the oldest known veteran of World War I who lived in North Baltimore, and you see that story right now on the WTOL 11 Vault.
It's a wonderful story, and of course we have many more. They're all available to watch, even for free. See, we don't even charge you. You're welcome. It's in the WTO 11 Vault. Be sure to check it out.